Welcome back to another video, guys. We're down here way in southern Ohio checking out a piece of timber. Yeah, the main thing this client wanted me to check out was just the feasibility of getting the timber out. It's a smaller piece. It's got some timber on it, not enough for, with the distance and the amount of timber, it's not going to be enough for the buyers that I work with to come down here, but something I do with some of these far southern Ohio pieces is I'll come in and mark the timber for the client, give them everything they need to sell the timber on their own, and then, help them through the process, look over contracts, that type of thing. It's pretty inexpensive and gives them all the tools they need to get the timber sold the correct way. His main question on this one, though, was, the feasibility of getting the timber out. And so that's what we're checking out now. Right here, there's an old logging road going up through. So that could be cleaned up pretty easily. And I'll show you the front of this property, which is going to be the biggest hurdle for getting this timber out. So there is some timber on this piece, a little bit of white oak, some chestnut oaks, hard maple, some red oak. I would imagine it's enough to get a small operation interested in it. So yeah, I'm gonna hop up front here and show you guys kind of what the access situation is. This is something that you really need to be paying attention to when you're buying a property. A lot of guys underestimate, especially in this more rugged country. You get out to, your Midwest, Western Ohio, Central Ohio. You go out to Indiana, Illinois. All of that stuff is so easy to access. It's just not really an issue. But what I'm talking about is this deep southern Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia. Buying a property with good access is huge. I mean, that's everything. That's, in my mind, I don't care what kind of timber's on it. I don't care how good of a deal it is, generally speaking. If it doesn't have good access, I'm not going to buy it. It's so difficult to ever sell that property in the future. And especially the way the market is right now, it's changing to where if you ever want to sell this property, the investor, the buyer, is a lot more knowledgeable than they were 5-10 years ago. And so guys are a lot more careful on what they're buying. But specifically from the logging side, say you do have good timber out back and you do want the property, you feel like it's a good buy, it's a good deal, but there is bad access. In some situations, you're not even able to get the timber out through this property. I think maybe we can make something like this work on this one, but there are a lot of properties that it's not feasible. You drive up to it and it's nothing but a straight cliff up over the hill. In that situation, there's nowhere to stage the logs to load them to get them out of there. Another big thing is, can you, say for the road, this is especially applicable for West Virginia, can you get a semi to it? Some of these scenarios, it's difficult to even get a straight truck, like a boom truck, to it. And so these are all things you need to weigh into consideration when you're buying a property. It's going to greatly affect the resale, but also the timber value, because if these companies cannot get the timber out, or they have to work twice as hard to get that timber out, makes the value of your trees a lot less. So we're out here on the front of the property. So for context, this is a 22-acre piece, I believe. It's really narrow and long, and so that creates, not a lot of road frontage out front. And so you can see it just drops straight down to the road. And then on top of that, there's a ditch there as well. So there's just, no way to have a pile of logs there or to get a truck off the road. Further up here, we may have an option, but it's going to require a good bit of work, on the landowner's part if this is something that he wants to make happen. So here's that road coming down here. Now the interesting thing is this road, this corner is actually on the neighbors. So that's another thing, you know, to be able to even get this timber out at all, you would have to cross the neighbors. So we'd need to get permission to do that. They're coming in here, and he does have this flat spot. And so what this is he's got a camper here and a really narrow area here comes into the road. So, you know, what you could do in this scenario is if you cleaned all of this up, brought a dozer in here, cleaned up, you know, all these trees along the road here, all this stuff, cleaned all this out, took the trailer out, you know, and then gravelled this, you could maybe get a straight truck back here with enough room to have some logs piled and get them out that way. It would be a really, really, you know, tight, sucky scenario in that case. But, you know, if a small crew wants to deal with it, you know, that's possible. So basically, you know, what I'll offer for this client on this is, you know, tell them my approach on what I would recommend doing with this opening here. I would try to have this cleaned up, I think, before a company comes in, just to present a little bit better. It's going to help him on the sale of the timber a lot. And then I would go in and basically mark the trees for him, create a bid sheet that he can present to buyers, and then, you know, he can do the sale himself, and I can coach him through the whole process, look over any contracts and anything like that. And that's generally what I've been doing here in this, you know, far southern Ohio type stuff, where it's out of range of my buyers. So that being said, we're going to go up the road, and we've got another small piece to check out. And this one is actually close to one of my existing jobs that we'll be starting this summer. And so this is a guy looking to buy a property. And this is something else I offer. It's not, you know, on my website or anything, but I get a lot of calls of people, hey, I'm looking to buy a property. Been told it has some timber value, or is wondering if there's some timber value. For a very small fee, I can run over there. I'm all over southern Ohio typically. I can check a property out and give you a rough number. Hey, there's probably X amount of dollars of timber here. And that's invaluable when you're going to buy a property. And I can tell you, hey, the access is too tough, it's not going to work, wouldn't recommend it. Or yeah, you can definitely get some timber money off of this, potentially recoup that down payment, and makes a world of a difference when buying land. Okay, we're back here on this next piece where we're just checking out, see if there's any timber value for this guy that's looking to buy the property. You know, right off the bat, we have a similar problem as the last one. Not as bad, but, you know, you got this embankment along this whole thing, and it's another one of these real narrow, long pieces, so you don't have a lot of road frontage. So you're pretty limited. This isn't nearly as bad as what the other one was. This is, you know, you can make it work. It's annoying, but it can be done. And what's nice about it is it's got a little bit of a flat up top here, to where you could, you know, have a loader or the truck sitting down here on the road with the boom, reach up and grab them, load. So it is doable, but inconvenient. But I'm gonna run up over the hill and we'll see what's there. So right off the bat, it's pretty nice red oaks. That one right up there, pretty decent. Quite a few red oaks in here. The problem is when you're dealing with small acreage like this, you have to have big timber, but also high quality timber. So in your red oaks, your poplar, hickory, and some maple, the name of the game is volume. You need to have large volume to really amount to anything, because the price per board foot is pretty low. The difference is then where if, say, this was a hillside full of white oaks, it would be a lot different. You know, these, if you had white oaks this size, it would make a difference pretty quick, like really quickly, on the value of that timber. But, you know, the real estate agent had quoted him $20K on a selective harvest. And there's a lot of really good agents out there. I don't even know who this is, but You know, I mean, I do know agents enjoy embellishing, or will embellish their timber value a little bit unless they have, you know, sometimes you'll see where there's an actual crew's been done, and I do that for agents occasionally. And guys that buy and sell land, we do that, but it's like just to randomly throw a number, oh, it's, you know, 20K, probably not for 10 acres. That's really high. And you know, I've walked 100 yards off the road, and I can already tell you just from looking, there's not gonna be 20K here, just simply because it's red oak. You would have to cut it extremely aggressively. But we'll keep going up further here. I do see some light oak up on the ridge here, so we'll see what that looks like. Yeah, there's definitely some nice red oak. I mean, it's a really good looking red oak. Okay, so I did a decent walkthrough. It doesn't take long to get through 10 acres, but I mean, yeah, there's actually some pretty nice timber on this. So, you know, there's a few things you need to weigh then when you're looking at buying a property like this is, you know, one, if it's for a long-term hold, and two, are you thinking more, you know, flipping it in a few years, or even within a year. And, you know, so then it's kind of difficult to, yeah, because like, you know, looking at it, I'm guessing on the low end, $10,000 to the high end, 15, somewhere in that range. And so, you know, it's a cheap property. I don't even know what, you know, they're asking for it. It can be, you know, close to your down payment on it, if not your full down payment. But when you go to sell this property, the piece itself, there's not that much appeal. So you take away the timber, now what's left, how appealing is that property? Something like this, not very, it's 10 acres. There's not really great places to put a food plot in. The access is from the bottom, so you're going uphill to get to it. You know, anybody looking to buy a hunting property, it's not really that appealing when you take off some of the better timber. And so, you know, you may end up taking a loss in that property just to sell it, you know, to where you end up really didn't, you know, profiting anything after that was said and done. So just a few kind of tips for you guys for looking at buying properties. You know, keep in mind, keep that access in mind. You know, especially in your smaller pieces, you're going to have higher quality timber, as much as volume. You know, that's where that really makes up. Whereas if you're dealing with, say you had you know, even 50 acres of timber like this, now you got a decent little chunk of money, and it'd be worth doing. There's some very, very nice timber in there. But when you bring it down to 10 acres, and then you're looking at how that's going to affect the value of that property, I just can't see it hardly makes sense. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.